and he's been considering the presidency, and he joins me now. Good morning to you, Morris.
Hey, Fran, how are you?
I'm very well indeed. Good to talk to you today. You've been listening to what's been put out there so far. How are you feeling about this particular presidential election?
Well, initially I was thinking, is it actually a waste of time, Fran? Seeing as what's after happening in the country, you know, in relation to what our TDs do in the Dáil and stuff, they don't listen to us. So I was wondering, like, is there any really need for a president? Is he going to make any difference? But in actual, he or she, I should say. But in actual fact, I was doing a bit of research on it last night, and you know, if there was enough petitions signed, apparently, they can actually make changes to the law. They haven't done it so far, but they actually can. Under Article 27 of the Constitution, the President may refuse to sign a bill if the majority of the Senate and 1/3 of the Dáil petition the President not to sign, on the grounds of national importance, that the will of the people should be found out. So, like, that could go to a referendum. So maybe I'm thinking then, yeah, actually a President, there is a need for him, you know. And with the people that are actually running, Fran, have any of them really caught my eye at the moment? No. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, especially the party ones, like, you know, they're all like a different cheek on the same arse, pardon my language now, but that's what they are, like, you know. I mean, you've Heather Humphreys, she's been touted as the favourite now for Fine Gael. Mm-hmm. I mean, I remember last year when she was questioned in the Dáil, she didn't even realise there was an issue in Dundrum in relation to an iPass. So here we'd have a person representing our country who at the time didn't know anything about one of the biggest issues going on in County Tipperary.
And do you think that lack of knowledge would disqualify her, as far as you're concerned, from the presidential
you'd certainly
election?
question it, wouldn't you? Was she playing dumb?
Yeah.
I suppose a lot of our politicians are playing dumb, but was she playing dumb?
Well, I don't know, but is it fair to expect them to be across everything that's happening? Do you think, Morris?
I think the biggest issue in Ireland for the last 4 years, Fran, has been immigration. Mm. You know.
Yeah, and Dundrum certainly hit the headlines and the like. What about other people like Catherine Connolly, for example, as the independent candidate?
Sure,
but the left are gathering around her. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. She's a bit too communisty for me, Fran. You know, is that what Ireland needs now? Especially the way we're going, Fran. You know, you had Seamie Morris on the other day, Fran, talking about us being gaslit, and that's exactly what we are, Fran. I requested information, and in fairness to Michael Lowry's office, they sorted for me in relation to the amount of illegal immigration coming into the country and the unsustainable population growth and all the rest of it. And I got an email back, Fran, and talk about gaslight. They were able to tell me there was a reduction in the amount of arrivals at ports. They were able to tell me there was a reduction in the amount of people seeking international protection.
But that is true, Morris. I mean, I know the numbers are still very high, but that is true, those reductions.
Well, I'll tell you what is also true, Fran. In 2025, 55 people have been deported.
Yeah.
So, but what's coming in from the north, Fran, hundreds coming in every week. So 55 people have been deported from Ireland in 2025.
Okay, but to go back to the subject, which is the presidency, I mean, the president, I mean, it's largely a ceremonial role, as you well know, Morris. So, I mean, what part would the president have to play in anything around that, do you think?
Well, he's in charge, of course, he's in charge of the Constitution.
Custodian of the Constitution, yeah.
And the only reason I'm saying he, I'm not being sexist because Michael D's in my head there now, but the President is in charge of the Constitution, Fran. They can, you know, they have to sign off on the Constitution. And, you know, the Constitution, Fran, that's what's really important in Ireland. We have lost sight of it. But, you know, I'll just quote a little bit of it, Fran, for you, and people might listen into what is after happening in our country. So, in the Constitution 1916, we declare the right of the people of Ireland to the ownership of Ireland and to the unfettered control of Irish destinies to be sovereign and indefeasible.
No, hold on. That's the proclamation. That's not the Constitution. Is that not the proclamation? That's the proclamation. Yeah, okay.
That's the proclamation.
Yeah.
And then also in the proclamation, Fran, it is, the Republic guarantees religious and civil liberty, equal rights and equal opportunities to all its citizens, cherishing all the children of the nation equally, Fran. So, cherishing all the children of the nation equally. Here we have, as of today, Fran, we have 97,000 Irish children on hospital waiting lists. We have 38,000 of them waiting for over 12 months, 29,000 children waiting for more than 18 months, and in total, 883,000 are on waiting lists, adults and children. So that's cherishing the people of Ireland, Fran. You know, we talk about the children with additional needs for school. There is, at the moment, there is 24 parents of children in the High Court, Fran, trying to get their children...
Yeah. Placement. Suitable
school and school. So coming back to the President, Fran, I think, France, is an opportunity for someone to go in there. Have I seen that person yet? I'm not too sure I have. But a person to go in there and to make some sort of real difference to what's happening in this country, Fran.
And, you know, outside of Catherine Connolly and outside of Heather Humphreys, have you heard Gareth Sheridan? He spoke, he's that young guy.
Yeah, is that what we need, Fran? Another millionaire above in a position of power? I don't think so, Frank.
Is that the way you would view him? Well, he made. I put that very point to him, and he said, "Well, that's fine." He said, "But I came up the hard way. I had to earn everything I had. I had to work my way through college, all of that kind of thing." So he was at pains to point that out. Does that make any difference to you?
No, because I sent you in a question, Fran. In fairness, you asked it of him, and gaslighted is what he done as well, talking about immigration. Basically, didn't see it as an issue at all. Talked about, need to get our own people to be working here. We can't sustain what's happening in this country, Fran. It's as simple as that. We can't sustain it. There's the National Development Plan, 275 billion being proposed for the National Development Plan to cater for our ever-growing population. So much for our beautiful green isle image, Fran. We're going to basically tear this country apart for this growing population, while our own young people are being shipped.
You have the likes of Pascal Donoghue, though, when he was here in Tipperary, and indeed many others as well, coming out to say that we need to view all of this as a positive. We need to view this diversity.
Pascal Donoghue, Fran, he's more like one of those characters on The Simpsons. It's no wonder the Europeans view us as fools and are able to get away with everything they can get away with in relation to migration pacts and all the rest of it. I mean, listening to Pascal Donoghue would be enough now for me, Well,
he argued that the population growth had bolstered the economy, in fact, far from damaging it in some way. So.
Fran, bolster the economy. You give every day of the week, in fairness to you, you give every day of the week listening to people's issues, real issues, Fran. Issues on housing, Fran. Issues on homelessness. Issues on health. Issues on children like that poor little creature, Harvey. I forget his surname, but that little creature that died of the
scoliosis.
Scoliosis. Scoliosis. He died, Fran. His ribs, Fran, were crushing into his organs. Yeah. Can you imagine that, Fran? And you have that plonker of Simon Harris posting selfies. I actually, and I heard Shamey on the other morning, and he said, there's a growing anger, in Ireland, and it's a pity he wasn't there before the election last year, and to make real change, because.
Yeah, but there's the thing. I know that we're going off the subject of the presidency, but I mean, a lot of people use that phrase, and you use it there, real change. But how do you view that real change, Maurice? What are you talking about when you talk about real change from a government point of view?
When I talk about real change, Fran, I talk about it where...
Are you talking about a left-wing government, for example?
Certainly not, but I'm talking about more probably right-wing, Fran. I'm talking about where the people of Ireland aren't being ethnically cleansed like they are at the moment. I'm talking about where our children are cherished. not only the children that have full health, but more so the children that haven't, Fran. You remember that beautiful song that Phil Coulter penned for Luke Kelly?
Yeah, scorn not his simplicity.
Score not his simplicity, Fran. And to think, Fran, that there was more humanity in this country for our own back in the 70s, Fran, than there is now. You know, as I say, Fran, our own children, like Shamey was on the other morning. It was a very good interview with him. And, you know, these agencies that are making all the money from, was they hiring in nurses and all the rest of it, vested interest and all the rest of it, Fran, right? So, in Kilkenny's St. Luke's Hospital, Fran, since 2023, 28.8 million was spent on private agency staffing.
Yeah, but that's because we can't get nursing staff. We don't have the nursing staff because many of our own nurses have decided we're out of here. Because as a girl from Fianna Fáil, this new electrical or whatever she is, she's an advisor. It is so beneficial for the Indians to come over here. They're getting everything. It's even like the Muslims, Fran. No, but can we go back to the Indians there for a moment? The Indian people who are here are largely invited here to take up those roles in healthcare. You know, they're encouraged and they're invited here because we can't find enough health staff, Morris.
It's because our own Irish people, Fran, can't afford to stay here. You heard Shamey on about it. They're not getting paid enough to stay here. It's not in their favour, Fran. As I say, you know, the amount of people, you go into Nina, Fran, and it's like being in Mumbai. Everywhere you look, there's Indian people, Fran, you know. And the thing about it is this,
right, but
Fran,
they're here legitimately. Those people are here legitimately, and they're here working and paying their taxes.
Yeah, the government are bringing them in, Fran, but like I say, no houses for our own people, Fran, in 30s and 40s.
But that's not their fault. That's the government's failure.
No, I completely agree. I have no hatred to any person that has come in here, Fran, but I have actually hatred for the government, Fran, for what they've allowed happen.
That's very strong, Morris. You have hatred for them, do you?
I have, and I never had hatred for anyone in my life, Fran, but for what has been allowed happen to this country, Fran. You know, right. It is just.
I must leave it there, but just before I let you go, Morris, nobody so far that you'd vote for where the presidency is concerned. Anybody emerging there at all that you're? Well,
unless maybe Peter Casey comes back on the ticket. There's a girl there, Maria Steen. She's actually mentioned there in the last few days. She's you know, she's a decent woman, Fran.
Right,
possibly her, but as regards any of the rest of them, Fran.
Not for you.
No, I mean, no, not for me, Fran. Maybe, look at Michael Flatley kind of put his name in the ring a small bit, and I know he's a millionaire and all the rest of it, but he did give a great interview with Brendan O'Connor, and what he said was, Fran, the reason he'd stand is because the Irish people are not being listened to. The Irish people are not being listened to. So,
all right, Morris, I must leave it there, but great to talk to you, Morris, and thanks for coming on with us. Really good to talk to you. Thank you, and good morning to you. That's Morris there.